After doing 2 months of transfer news, we finally get new names that are not just Neymar and Lautaro Martinez. What's going on, guys? ¿Cómo están? BugaLuis here. Welcome back to another video here on the channel, and today we got 8 stories, 8 transfer news that we have to discuss involving Thiago, Kai Havertz, GARCIA, Neymar, Griezmann, Sane, Hakimi, and Emerson. So if you are excited that we don't have to talk about Lautaro Martinez and finally we can get into new transfer stories, be sure to drop us a like, leave us a subscribe, and turn the bell notification icon, and follow us on all other social media to keep up to date. So the very first story for me is probably the biggest of them all, and the one which I seem to be much more reliable. Rummenigge, which is one of the directors at Bayern Munich, has revealed that in fact Thiago Alcantara will be leaving by the end of the season. He hasn't said particularly that he is going to be leaving 100%, but he has mentioned that he has not been able to renew contract talks with Thiago because he's adamant that he wants to try something new, and he will not let a player like him go out on a free. The reported fee for a move for Thiago Alcantara is of 35 million euros, which is going to be something that, in my opinion, is very cheap for a player like him. And the main destination for now, it seems that it's going to be Liverpool, who wants to target Thiago Alcantara. We know Liverpool wanted to get someone like Kai Havertz, but because of the money, perhaps they're going to be able to pay something like that, so Thiago might be their second best option. I really wanted to talk about Thiago Alcantara because he's a player, of course, that was ex-Barcelona, and one that we really would like to see back at the club. And this would be something that could actually come to fruition for me. If Barcelona manages to sell Arturo Vidal or even Rakitic by that matter, getting someone like Thiago Alcantara wouldn't be the worst of things. And if we follow the reports that Xavi might be the next manager the following season, he might be kind of convinced to come back to the Camp Nou and try himself here. I would believe that it would be a good move for him, and I would directly 100% put him into the starting 11. Bayern Munich, of course, are going to be losing out on an amazing player and a regular starter, so I wouldn't see why other clubs wouldn't be interested in someone of the profile of Thiago Alcantara. Moving perfectly to the next segue, we also know that Kai Havertz won't be continuing at Bayern Leverkusen. Also, the sporting director of Leverkusen has come out and said that there were some certain kind of requirements that Kai Havertz needed to kind of meet to see whether he was going to continue with Leverkusen or not. Probably one of those requirements was getting Champions League football, which Leverkusen didn't manage to get in the last fixture of the Bundesliga, giving that spot to Borussia Mönchengladbach. So now Kai Havertz seems to be kind of on his way out, and the main destination for him right now seems to be Chelsea. This is also going to be very interesting because, of course, now that we know a player like him, a such good talent in the forward positions, is going to be available, it's going to be opening the doors for many clubs to try and seek out this player. I believe that going to Chelsea would be very interesting, but I don't really get why Chelsea are targeting all of these kind of forward players. They already signed 2 amazing in Hakim Ziyech and Timo Werner. Getting Kai Havertz would be, of course, amazing, but in my opinion, would be kind of overkill when they really have to fix themselves in other positions. I believe getting a center back would be their main priority, or maybe even a fullback, I believe, for that sense. Chelsea showed to have some very weak defenders in the game against Chelsea, so it makes it very interesting why they're going for another attacking player like him. And more importantly, also, if you kind of already linked Kai Havertz to Bayern Munich, Rummenigge has also come out and said that they're not going to be targeting Kai Havertz and they're not going to be bidding for him this next transfer window. So if there's a move coming, it has to come this window, and if that's going to be the case, it's not going to be to Bayern Munich. So finally, a player from Germany is not going to be going to Bayern Munich. Moving on, we have another piece of news that is very interesting, and this one comes reported by Sport, and that is that Barcelona are interested in Eric Garcia from Manchester City. Eric Garcia is a player that in this last kind of, I would say, tenure with Manchester City has really gotten much more playing time. He was already the main starter alongside Aymeric Laporte coming from the break, and he's a player that, of course, I think Barcelona should have his eye on, because he reminds me very similarly to a situation when Piqué was playing at Manchester United. Well, now it's on the blue side of Manchester, but he has backs of potential. He could do it, of course, in Barcelona as much as he could do it in Manchester City, because he has that kind of sort of skill set that a main kind of pivotal center back should have for a team. And he could develop not only as a secondary center back, but for me, the main center back in a pair. You take a look right now at Barcelona, and you have Lenglet and Umtiti, and they're mostly kind of secondary figures to what is Gerard Piqué. Not because they are necessarily worse, because I actually think they might be better, but the case is that Gerard Piqué is kind of like the main figure there. He's like the father figure of that center back. You always have like the big brother and the small brother. In this case, Eric Garcia is kind of building up to be that big brother, just because simply he would fit nicely with what means to Barcelona. He's Spanish. He's young and he would come in and learn from someone like Piqué himself. So I believe it would be a good move for Barcelona, but I don't really see why Manchester City would look to sell this player. The kind of negotiation talks are saying that Barcelona are trying to get a deal agreed with Eric Garcia, and if they cannot convince Manchester City to sell him this season, they will try and get Eric Garcia for free the following one. And that's when Xavi could potentially take over, and it would just make perfect sense for Eric Garcia then to join Barcelona. I would say this is something that we should keep an eye on, because I think there's some sort of kind of reliability with this news. So yeah, Eric Garcia to Barcelona seems to be on the ways. But maybe this year, I'm not too sure, probably one after that. The next piece of news involves a player that is already kind of in the books of Barcelona, and that is Emerson Royal. What a last name, right? Royal. That's a perfect last name for a player like him. And the thing with Emerson here is that apparently it's reported by Mundo Deportivo that Barcelona in fact signed Emerson just because, surprise, surprise, for financial benefits. The fact of the matter is that Barcelona were anticipated to lose around 150 million euros this season, but their numbers are actually closer to 200 million. So they actually need to start making a little bit more money possible. Before it was they needed to make like 70 million, but now they need to make 50 million more. And that of course doesn't come cheap. So that is why we saw Marco Correa being already sold to Getafe. And now we have Emerson being potentially sold to Dortmund, Newcastle, and even Everton. It's just so underwhelming what this board is doing with this club, to be honest, because the plan was to have Emerson play another season at Real Betis and then have him grow from there and then potentially come back to Barcelona and take the spot of an aging Sergio Roberto or in Nelson Semedo that could potentially depart the club. But now it seems to be completely in a different case. And here I just say, Barcelona actually, within all of this mess, have had some good plans. You know, you have, for instance, the buying of Emerson, which I think is actually good, or Thaigo. And then you just want to scrape that because you just want money. It's completely awful. It's like they're building something up, and the good things that I actually had, now they're actually trying to build out of them and they're destroying them. Before getting to the confirmed transfer, we have to talk about some swap deals. The very first of those involving, once again, a swap deal for Neymar. And Barcelona has offered this time around to PSG, Coutinho plus Antoine Griezmann. And this is once again something that I continuously want to wonder, what in the world are Barcelona thinking? It's like they made their decisions, and by doing this swap deal, they 100% are saying to everyone in the world, oh, we took the bad decision, we took the worst decision, now we're trying to get this player back. In reality, we take a look at Coutinho and Antoine Griezmann. There are two players that haven't really succeeded at Barcelona. Particularly with Antoine Griezmann, I believe he's a player that may not never succeed at Barcelona because he just doesn't really fit in with what he needs to do. His role at Barcelona is already being occupied by someone called Leo Messi. That spot, that area where he does the best is already for that player. The thing is that with Antoine Griezmann, he's struggling so much at Barcelona, and I already made a video discussing this and particularly the reasons why, so you can go and check it out. But particularly, I think that it would be best for Barcelona to try and get some money in for him if we don't see for him a future at Barcelona. In the case of Philippe Coutinho, I see him actually having more of a future, more of a success than Antoine Griezmann. The reason for it is because he's a player that naturally could still fit into what Barcelona needs, and that's kind of like this advanced playmaker midfielder. And now that Artur is not there, Coutinho could come in and take the spot. We just have to see and wait what are we gonna do with that particular player. But if you're trying to swap them out for Neymar, it really doesn't make too much sense. But the interesting thing about a swap deal is that this wouldn't particularly close the doors on other transfers. If Barcelona wanted to pursue, for instance, like I commented at the start of the video, Thiago Alcantara, or they wanted to go for Lautaro Martinez, they wouldn't have to spend a single dime in getting Neymar because it would be a straight swap deal. So I want to hear your opinion, guys, because at the end of the day, this is something that I can just not decide on myself. I literally don't have say in this. I want to know what you guys think about this. Would you trade Philippe Coutinho and Antoine Griezmann for Neymar? To be honest, if we could get Antoine Griezmann for Neymar, I would offer that first before even trying to incorporate Coutinho there, because I believe Coutinho could still play a role for us. The other swap deal involves just Antoine Griezmann, and this one is with Juventus. This one is one where I absolutely think we shouldn't do it whatsoever because Barcelona will be losing money no matter what. The swap deal is Antoine Griezmann to Juventus for Douglas Costa and at the end Rabiot. Rabiot makes a little bit more sense because he's in midfielder that Barcelona previously wanted. And at the end of the day, he ended up choosing Juventus, which how well did that turn out, really? The thing with Antoine Rabiot is that I believe he's a very good holding playmaker. I really think he can be that deep line kind of player. But if we have the young already he could take up that spot, so I don't really see how actually Rabiot can benefit from that, and Pjanic can also do a role there now that he has signed for Barcelona officially. So I wouldn't see Rabiot much of a future here at Barca. Perhaps he's also not one of the youngest players you could potentially get. He's one that still has something to prove for his future, but I don't know whether he could be at Barcelona. Douglas Costa, just don't even get me started on Douglas Costa. The guy doesn't even know how to shoot. He's a good player, all of that, but we don't need a star like that. If we have Ousmane Dembélé still in our ranks, if we have Francisco Thiago coming in and Ansu Fati already growing up, we don't need Douglas Costa. Literally, it's one of the worst things we should go out for. It would just be a player that will be getting game time and taking away from the ones who really need it, like Fati, Francisco Thiago, and Dembélé. And last but not least, moving to the confirmed transfer sections, we have to talk about Sane going to Bayern Munich. I believe this one is a very huge deal for Bayern Munich. Let's be completely honest. They're getting one of the youngest, most promising wingers in world football. I really do see Sane having that sort of talent that can take him up to levels not unseen perhaps, but one of the best players for the next generation. I really do believe Sane can be that good. And at Bayern Munich, he will get that consistency that perhaps he didn't have in Manchester City. It will be interesting to see how Hansi Flick is going to kind of measure up the wingers, how he's going to play with Serge Gnabry and Kingsley Coman and Leroy Sane, because now he has those three players. And you could even add Ivan Perisic into the mix, because it seems that Bayern Munich are trying to make his loan permanent. I just find it very interesting to see how Bayern Munich got this player without many other clubs competing for him. I just think it's that surprising, because for 45 million euros, getting this player in return is such a huge bargain, to be honest. It's a huge bargain, a huge loss for Manchester City, but it's so surprising that no other club was actually looking and seeking for Leroy Sane. It was just like Bayern Munich from the get-go, and nobody even tried to put their hat into the ring. Last but not least, we have Achraf Hakimi leaving Real Madrid, going to Inter. And this move, guys, is very, very surprising, to be honest. It was built up in a matter of kind of 4 days, in which Achraf Hakimi already said he didn't want to continue to Real Madrid because he wanted to pursue more consistent game time. And that's a kind of reality. I believe that Zinedine Zidane is a manager very similar to Valverde, actually, that prefers to put players of kind of their heavyweights simply because of their name and play them in front of the players who actually need that game time or deserve it. Someone like Daniel Carvajal was going to play potentially 80% of the games, and Hakimi wasn't going to get enough game time. And Hakimi is one of the most promising right backs right now in the world of football. And I believe alongside someone like Trent Alexander-Arnold, he's potentially going to be like, I don't want to use FIFA terms, but he could easily be like 90 rated, to be honest. He could be the next Dani Alves sort of thing. And he's a player that actually I've always kind of dreamed about we could potentially see at Barcelona. I know it would never happen, but he has that sort of attacking flair that will be very beneficial for a club like Barca. And going to Inter under Antonio Conte is actually going to make the team and him a lot better, because he has now the ability to play as a carrilero for the right, having no kind of being completely oblivious about defending. He can just worry about attacking, and that's one of the things that Hakimi does best. So under Conte, he's going to be very good. I believe that Inter team, if they keep Lautaro Martinez, if they buy another center midfielder, they're saying that the rumors are here for Sandro Tonali, or that Inter are coming back for Arturo Vidal. If they just get one more midfielder there, I think this, and a fullback, and a left back, and a left back, they need a left back. If they get all of that, Inter has a very good team on their hands, and Antonio Conte could potentially do very good things with that team as well. But from the perspective of Real Madrid, I really do not understand why they even tried and sell him. This is something that for many Real Madrid fans that I know, that I have a lot of friends, it's just really bugging them, because they do not understand why did they make this. Very similarly to why Barcelona sold Artur to Juventus. They just simply don't understand it. And I believe this shows that those two Spanish biggest clubs like Real Madrid and Barcelona are not probably at the top now. Like, if they're looking to have more financial benefit rather than actually sporting reasons, just tells you that we've come a very long way, and not in a good sense. So that's gonna be everything for today, guys. Hopefully you have enjoyed. The next video after this one is going to be a comparison between Quique Setién and Valverde, to show that in fact they're not too dissimilar. Quique Setién is actually kind of like a deja vu or a Valverde 2.0, but we have to defend him much more than Valverde, and I'll explain why in that video. So yeah, that's gonna be everything for today. Hope you have enjoyed. See you in the next one. Take care. Ciao.